Your typical quail is going to hatch in 18 days, but there are some environmental factors that can either shrink that timeline or expand that timeline, anywhere from 17 days up to about 21 days. So when you're planning your incubation timeline, you need to, in your mind, plan for a total of 21 days that you're going to be running this incubator. Now, by establishing these parameters in your mind, saying that, hey, this is going to take a total of 21 days, what you're really doing is just preparing yourself to remain calm when these eggs end up not hatching at day 18, right? And you start creeping into day 19, 20, early 21. We obviously are going to want to get all of these eggs to the final stages of development. We want all of them to survive, but that is not a realistic expectation. A lot of these eggs are not going to make it. They were not viable. And there's really not a whole lot that you can do about it. Now, as your incubation timeline or your incubation period stretches beyond day 18, you are going to have an increased desire to intervene with the hatching process. You'll have some eggs that have been sitting there that you deemed or that you think are not viable. All of a sudden, there'll be a little hole that'll emerge, and you're going to want to intervene. You're going to want to say, hey, well, if this guy's just trying to crack the egg, why can't I then just crack this egg open for it and make things a little bit easier? There are reasons why we do not want to do that. And we need to understand that our job is to monitor the external conditions of the incubator, the external conditions of the egg. We can only really control the temperature and we can control the humidity. Our job is to make sure that those two things are locked in. The chick needs to be warm and the chick needs to have a certain level of humidity, typically upwards of 75% humidity in the incubator. The chick's job is to monitor the internal conditions. So the chick knows when it is ready to emerge. So just because they poke a little hole in that outer shell does not mean that they are ready. There are still processes that need to happen inside the shell before they can survive outside of the egg. In most situations, it is going to be in the chick's best interest for it to remain in the egg and allowed to emerge unassisted. But there are situations in which you might deem it necessary to intervene. Right? If the inner membrane of the shell, if that seems to be kind of hardened up, dry, crispy, in those situations, what's happening is you probably don't have a high enough humidity in the incubator, or it's just been exposed too long, and what can happen is it can just basically shrink wrap that chick inside the egg, right, to the point where it can't move and maneuver and get out or emerge from the egg. The other situation would be where you've monitored the egg and there just has been significantly reduced movement, reduced peeping, or just the overall progress of the hatch has diminished significantly. In those situations, you can consider intervening or assisting with the hatch. Now, when you do begin assisting with the hatch, this should be a fairly slow process. If you can imagine peeling a boiled egg, right? You're doing it a little bit at a time. And with each little removal of the egg, I think it's probably best that you allow for that chick or give it the opportunity to emerge on its own. You will kind of get a sense as you're peeling some of that stuff back that, okay, hey, we just hit this kind of barrier that maybe he was facing, because he or she will start to move around in the egg. So go slow and allow them the opportunity to emerge as you make progress in removing the shell. As you're going through this process and you're removing the shell, trying to get this chick to emerge, some signs that you potentially intervene too early would be bright red blood. Right, so if you're seeing bright red blood, that's going to be an indicator that the blood vessels had not completely hardened, and there's a potential then that the chick is going to lose a decent amount of blood. The other indicator that you intervene too early is going to be this yellowish membranous sac toward the rear end of the chick, that would be the yolk sac. That's where the chick is getting all of its nourishment while it's in the egg. And it does provide nourishment for the chick after it emerges from the egg. While it's in the egg, the chick is going to completely absorb that yolk sac, right? So it can nourish it when it's out of the egg. But if you see that as you peel through or open up or assist with that chick emerging from the egg, that is not a good sign. That would indicate that the chick has not fully absorbed, right, the yolk sac. But it's still, that does not mean that the chick cannot survive. The chick can still survive even if you did see bright red blood, even if you did see the yolk sac. And part of the reason why I'm making this video is because just last night, in the final stages of incubation, I was going through and cleaning out these eggs, and I was just going to go through and crack them just to see where they were at, right, to see what was going on, if anything had taken place. And then this little guy, all of a sudden, right, we found a tiny little hole, and I got a little bit overexcited, thinking that, hey, we're at the end of day 20, it must be stuck, it must not be able to get out. So I started to peel it back. And it does make sense. It just seems like, hey, I peel this thing off, then the chick is out. But as I began to peel the egg, first thing I saw, bright red blood, right? And you kind of think, well, maybe that's just part of the process, right? There's just gonna be a little bit of blood. The next thing, as we got it completely out, or as it kind of flopped out the back half of the egg, and I got the egg right here, you can see, compared to a lot of the other hatched eggs, right? This guy is considerably red, right? So that was from a lot of the blood. If I grab some of these other eggs, right here, you can see not nearly as much blood. But so I was peeling it, got the blood. Then as he emerges, all of a sudden you look on its rear end and you got this mucousy yellow substance on its rear end. And as I began to read, you're like, okay, well, it bled, so the blood vessels weren't fully hardened up. And then on top of that, the yolk sac wasn't fully absorbed. And as you go through, you're like, okay, well, it's probably gonna die, which is a sad situation. But there was one kind of last ditch resort here, one thing that you could attempt. So I did, I just gave it a try. And what you need to do, so in a situation in which you intervene too early, which is potentially going to happen, but all you need to do is grab a shot glass, right? So there's still use for these shot glasses in our old age here. All right, so you grab a shot glass. This was a fairly large one. Then you take a damp paper towel, and you can see this still has some of the blood. I don't know where that all came from because it's kind of sat all night. But you get a damp, warm, damp paper towel. Obviously, you're not going to want to place that tiny little quail chick into a cold, damp paper towel. The goal here is to basically simulate the internal conditions of the egg, right? So simulate the internal conditions of the egg and to keep the chick still. Or you basically don't want the chick to be moving around because you don't want the yolk sac to rupture. We are, right, keeping it warm, damp, and we're preventing that chick from moving so it can, right, you're basically giving it a little bit more time to absorb the yolk sac. So I put it in here, wrapped it around, and then I just placed it horizontally in the incubator. So we placed it right in there in the incubator. The reasoning for that, I don't know that there's a right or wrong if you put it this way, if you put it that way, but I figured at least placing it horizontally would allow the chick at some point in time to emerge once it got strong enough, right? So I went to bed thinking this is probably everything you read online, the chances were not very high that the chick was going to survive. But lo and behold, we woke up and this guy was running around in the incubator, right? So if you do make the mistake and intervene too early, there is still some ways in which you can increase the likelihood of survival for that chick. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, leave any incubating tips, tricks, any incubating experiences that you've had in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. How's that?
Everyone says that you're copying her.
Who?
Everyone says that.
Do you watch them? Sorry. Well, I have to say it to get people to subscribe.
Yeah, I guess so. Just don't forget to subscribe. So where is that guy?
So I say don't forget. Here, just wait.
Is that guy right there?
I'm going to try again. What am I supposed to say? Don't forget to subscribe.
Those things.
All right.